Hey friends, so are we only a few days away from one of the biggest UFO disclosures in the history of humanity? Well, according to Steven Greer, yes. I've had tons of people ask me my opinion on Steven Greer and this upcoming disclosure. So, this is my thoughts on it. What he is saying, and he's very confident in this, and he goes back decades. He's been working on this for a very long time, and he's very confident with these dates, saying that before the inauguration, which is in 8 days, about a week, that this coalition of whistleblowers is coming together. They've been working with him for like 2 years, drafting up all the stuff, gathering all the evidence, and organizing themselves because what they're going to tell the world is going to shock everybody. And it's going to put their lives at risk because a lot of them are breaking NDAs. They are going to be talking about classified information. There's all sorts of things these guys are supposedly going to be doing that is very, very risky, would land them in jail for life or worse. So, what they're doing is this sort of shock and awe campaign where they're all coming together and they're going to release just a treasure trove of evidence, and they're going to do it unmasked, meaning they're going to do it with their real names and identities and faces, and they're going to do it together, and they're doing it with this kind of organized process through Steven Greer, where he is releasing it to all the biggest influencers in the world, all the biggest media outlets in the world, and all the governments at the same time. So it's kind of like, squeezing all the toothpaste out of a tube and trying to put it back in. You can't do it. So at this point, all the toothpaste, it'd be like jumping on a tube of toothpaste and just all the paste comes out. And then the governments are all just like, well, shit, like, what do we do now? So they're taking it seriously. And he says that these guys all work at like what are called black sites, which means they're like the top secret, sites around the world. They work in these underground bases, that they all work on sensitive material, that they all have firsthand knowledge of extraterrestrials, alien craft, the fact that we have exotic technologies and free energy and all this stuff, right? So this is what he's been saying. He's been making the media rounds, going on all the podcasts and going on talk shows and news and talking about this. And he's very confident. So, is it going to happen? Well, my spidey senses tell me it just might, because the fact that he's putting out this short timeline, he's not saying, oh, within the next year, because a lot of UFO whistleblower people will be like, coming this year or next year in 2027. They put out these dates and they know people will forget about it by then. Or they can't be held directly responsible because they can say, oh, well, a lot changed in the last 2 years. Steven Greer is saying this week, next week, okay? Very specific. And he cares about his credibility. He uses his credibility as leverage to do the things that he does. So I don't think he would just throw that out there if he didn't really believe it. And also, I think that these whistleblowers are taking advantage of the fact that this Trump organization seems to be hell bent on truth, transparency, out with the old guard, in with the new, and leading us into this age of prosperity, this golden age that Trump keeps talking about. Well, what is the best way to usher in the golden age? How about free energy? How about something that instantly transforms our entire civilization, every civilization on the planet? It would transform our trajectory of humanity. It would put us in a state where now all of a sudden we can start reversing the harm we've done to the planet. We can reduce pollution. We can bring electricity and fuel to nations that don't have it. We can, do all sorts of amazing things essentially overnight, because according to Steven Greer, these technologies exist. We have them. The governments have already reverse engineered them. They use them. They just don't tell the public because it would out their whole program. Then they would have to say where they got this stuff from, right? And according to Greer, they get it from downed, crashed, UAP, which are extraterrestrial craft. Whether these craft are given to us for this purpose to give these technologies to humanity, or whether we are downing them with like EMPs, I'm not sure. Now, I don't agree with everything Steven Greer says. He is a little overly optimistic, if you ask me. He says that basically he talks in absolutes. So he'll say, oh, all the things you're seeing in the sky, the drones and stuff, that's all man made. That's it. All of it. Even the orbs are all man made. And it's like, okay, I don't believe that. Some of this stuff is exotic, because some of this stuff's been going on since before, for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. Okay. I've seen these things in person, and I get an organic vibe from it sometimes. Now some of it is man-made. I guarantee you we have, UFO that are mistaken for extraterrestrial that are man-made. I know that's the case. So it's a mixture. So I don't get why he always says absolutes like that. And he also says all ETs are benevolent. They're all nice and they all want good for humanity. I don't buy that either. I mean, I don't think the universe works in absolutes. I think that there's a duality to nature, and that there's not necessarily good and bad, but there's negative and positive. And sometimes beings, especially intelligent beings, will do something to you, not because they're evil, but because you're just caught in the crossfire. For example, if a human developer wanted to build apartments here and they came in and they tore down all these forests like they do all the time, well, we would be seen as evil to the deer and the bears and the fox and everything in this forest. Well, are those developers evil? Inherently? No, they're just doing their job. But to all the woodland creatures out here, they're evil. So I don't get this thing where he says humans are bad and ETs are good. I don't think it's that cut and dry. But I do agree with a lot of what he says. And when it comes to the whole disclosure thing coming up, this week is going to be crazy. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I mean, we have the inauguration coming up. I don't know if somebody's going to do something to try to stop it. I don't know if these whistleblowers are going to come out and capitalize on this. If that's the case, we're talking about the biggest disclosure in the history of the world. They're talking about people coming out and proving, not just saying it, but proving is what he's saying, is that they're going to prove we're not alone in the universe, that ETs are visiting us, that we have relationships and programs with them, and that we have their technology. Oh my God, can this year get any more bananas? So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying there's a decent chance it's going to happen because of the confidence Greer is exerting behind this. And he doesn't typically do that. He's a confident guy for sure, but I've never heard him put a timeline like this on something, especially something this big. So it's going to be a wild week, guys. Buckle up and let me know what you guys think about this. Have a beautiful day. Peace.